Well, we do a breakfast briefing for employers every 3 months, and today our theme was violence in the workplace and kind of a special focus on domestic violence. We want employers to know that domestic violence is, it happens more than many of us think that it does, and it comes to work. It affects the workplace because it results in, victims of domestic violence, they have more health issues, and they have more attendance issues, more productivity issues. So that's why we picked this topic for this quarter.
I don't think there's a way wisely to separate domestic violence from the workplace. In 2015, so many women who are the primary survivors of domestic violence and victims are working. And you can't say that domestic violence only affects the home and the family. It absolutely is carried to work. And there's risk for employees, there's risk for coworkers, and of course the employers. And I think to get a message to the community and employers that perhaps has not been there, what we see is with corporate and business leaders, so often they don't see domestic violence as impacting the workforce or the workplace, or frankly financial sorts of issues if there's a claim or lawsuit.
Well, you don't want domestic violence to turn into a violent situation at work, because that lands you in the headlines. And so some of the practical things that you can do is tell employees that we strive to provide a safe and secure workplace. And if you ever feel threatened while you're at work, let us know, let HR know. And you can let the employees know if there is an issue in this area, that there are resources in the community like Sistercare. A lot of employers have a contract with an EAP service, an employee assistance program, which also has counselors and advisors available who can help employees who are dealing with this kind of thing. So you want to communicate with employees. You also want to communicate with your managers and supervisors. You want to help them be able to recognize this issue when it arises, and in the absence of an employee volunteering the information, managers and supervisors can know if they see an employee who is bruised and who is also seems kind of upset and worried. That might be somebody who they can say to, listen, if there's anything you want to talk about, let me know. If you feel unsafe for any reason, we have resources that may be able to help. And you can tell the employee about Sistercare, about your EAP and that kind of thing. So those are proactive steps that employers can do to try to address this issue before it becomes a big problem in the workplace.
That's a contemporary progressive notion to think about the workplace as having resources and being able to intervene and help with safety sorts of issues for employees who may be experiencing domestic violence. And of course there's the other piece too. Employers have hired perpetrators of domestic violence, so there's risk as well there, so that you look at holding perpetrators accountable and disciplinary action. But in the workplace, it may be that coworkers see what no one else does with a survivor of domestic violence, may see marks, or as we were saying earlier, behavior and conduct that's real questionable in terms of anxiety and stress and poor work performance, so that it is a place where there could be intervention, and always trying to connect immediately to resources and services. Sistercare provides crisis services as well as long-term services, so we have to have a 24-hour-a-day crisis line. And for any employers, employees, or interested parties, if they are interested in learning more about Sistercare's services and making referrals. 803-765-9428 is our 24-hour-a-day service or crisis line, and that's a way for volunteers to be able to get involved. Nexsen Pruet, attorneys and staff, as well as the community, but always thinking about the survivors of domestic violence and their children. Incidents nationally have declined with regard to domestic violence. When you look at South Carolina and you look at the most serious form of domestic violence, which is domestic violence homicide, South Carolina has a dismal performance, and we are not progressing. We have the second highest per capita rate of women killed by men of any state in the United States, and we've always been in the top 9 for the last 17 years that data has been collected. And so that is very serious. It's homicide, and so often there are children left behind, family affected, and of course the employers, as we go back to this training today.
Employers are not experts on how to counsel employees in these situations, so we would encourage employers to make referrals to organizations like Sistercare and to EAPs, because they have access to people who are professionally trained on how to counsel victims of domestic violence.